Hello, thanks for joining us today. I am Laura Diffendahl, the Belize correspondent for International Living, and I wanted to briefly talk to you about the process I had when I chose Belize, why I chose Belize, and how International Living helped me come to that decision. Years and years ago, back in about 2012, when I started to consider living outside of the US, I realized that it was really hard to pare down and get information about the almost endless options throughout the world. It is so flooding, and I think a lot of people, it's very easy to get stuck during that phase because you can read not only about endless wonderful choices, but once you narrow down a few that seem to check some of your boxes, you can then realize that there's pros and cons to every place in the world. And places that other people love, you may not. Other places that are maybe not as well traveled or as universally loved may not be right for you. So it is one of those you have to go and feel it out for yourself. My number one thing was doing a lot of research before I went to many of the places I visited, but showing up with an open mind and just saying, do I feel at home here? And that was my number one quality I looked for. Do I feel comfortable in this country? Does it seem like it matches foundationally my values, my value system, and do I fit in? And some of the things that helped me when I was doing research, and what I noticed very quickly, was that International Living was a wealth of knowledge in first of all, just reading and fantasizing and exploring the entire world through the eyes of people that were actually living there. And International Living is going on decades, unlike a lot of other, newer publications. They've been around for years and years and years. They have people like me that live and work in the places that they talk about, and they ask us to research and qualify everything under the sun. And I saw that. I kept going back to International Living because I found such extensive, in-depth articles. And what's great about International Living is you can go as deep as you want in the area that you like. They'll give you this broad look at so many places for free, and then you can subscribe to certain services that will then get you the nitty gritty, right down to the negatives, right down to the crime, the pollution, the negative, anything you want to read about, you can then pare down so you're not just flooded and overwhelmed by the information about every place. So that boots on the ground. I don't know too many other publications in the world that go to the extreme research of having identified people in each country that they trust and rely on to give them the latest information. I can tell you from having written for them for years now, and then being lucky enough to be the Belize correspondent, I know how deeply they research each area, and the information is trustworthy. And so they were huge in helping me pick Belize. I'm not sure I would be here if not for reading the extensive amount of their articles. And what was great is that as I read about Belize through International Living's eyes and the correspondent before me, when I showed up, it matched. It matched each area. There was areas I said, boy, this doesn't sound like an area that's going to be right for me. And that turned out to be accurate. And the two areas that I was really sure I was going to like were the two that I ended up showing up and saying, I feel at home. And I've been lucky enough to split my time in the last 7 years between those two places. So I think that when you are in that time where you're taking in all of, it's like drinking through a fire hose, you can barely take it all in. You're going to find that you're able to shift through. If you need to live on a beach, then you may not look at, cold weather climates or Iceland or somewhere like that. If you want to do a place that's small and rustic like Belize, where you can have a meaningful impact, well, you can rule out maybe some large European cities. You're not going to be able to have as much of an impact in a place like that. So think about the factors that are the most important to you. That's what I did. I wanted to have a young country where I could have more of an impact, where I could have a business, maybe that was not quite as expensive as in the U.S., but a place also that had some comfort so I wouldn't be homesick. And for me, as I was able to sift through articles and read the very experiences, like having a business in Belize through the eyes of somebody that had done it, it really helped me pare down to about 5 places. And here I am 7 years later. Feel free to reach out to me at belize@internationalliving.com. And thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi, my name is Jason Holland. I'm the roving Latin America editor for International Living. Our staff have been traveling, crunching numbers, and quizzing our contacts and correspondents around the world, all in the interest of compiling our annual picks for the world's top retirement havens. The 2021 Retirement Index will point you to the places most worthy of your attention and, most importantly, save you the trouble, time, frustration, and expense of trying to figure it all out on your own. And right now you can get it for free. Sign up for early access at intliving.com/AGRI.